We'll now call the Tuesday, May 12th regular meeting of council to order. Adoption of the agenda for this evening, please. Councillor McLean, Councillor Pearson, are there any additions? Hearing none, all in favor? Carries. 3.1, public comment. Mr. Robinson?
There is one public comment this time. If you'd like, I will read it out.
Please do.
This is from Rashmi Narayan. I live in Valemount. I wanted to comment on a few things mentioned in the agenda. 1, wanted to support staff's request to council to approve money for the backhoe. I feel that the village has managed money well and maintained a healthy surplus. When staff asks for better working tools, and it also means better value for tax dollars, that request should be approved. I feel that the chances of taxpayers defaulting on property tax revenue is not much higher than in previous years with various government support programs for property owners and renters. 2, it was a pleasant surprise to read about the surplus in the Director of Finance's memo, $3.6 million in capital reserves and $2 million in general surpluses. I've been aware of these healthy surpluses, but always been challenged when these numbers were not presented when utility taxes are set, especially when the asset management plan was presented a couple of months ago. I would like the same consideration of surpluses and reserves to be brought to council when they make decisions on taxation rates. 3, thirdly, I'd like to comment on council's decision reflected in last meeting's minutes to alter the terms of reference for the Public Art Committee to include council as the ability that council has the ability to alter recommendations from the Public Art Selection Committee. I just want to point out that judging art is not part of council's responsibilities. That is why we have separate arts organizations and committees for various CBT arts programs that do that. It is not the CBT board or general governance boards that adjudicate art. Council's role is to consider maintenance costs, public works considerations of maintenance, and safety where it is installed. Sincerely, Rashmi Narayan, Valemount. That is all.
Thank you very much. Motion to receive public comment. Councillor G, Councillor Blanchette. All in favor of receipt? It's carried. Item 4.1, adoption of the April 28th, 2020 regular meeting of council. Councillor Pearson, Councillor G, any errors, omissions arising? All in favor? It's carried. 4.2, adoption of the April 22, 2020 special meeting of council be adopted. Councillor G, Councillor Pearson, any errors or omissions arising? All in favor? It's carried. Item 6.1, there's a couple recommendations here. What is council's wish? This is in regards to the backhoe purchase. Councillor McLean? You're muted, Councillor.
I move the recommendation that council rescinds resolution number 173/20, that the purchase of a backhoe for the village be deferred to the next fiscal year.
Seconder?
I so move.
Thank you. Councillor Pearson, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of rescinding? It's carried. 7.1, we have correspondence for action from the Valemount Farmers Market, looking for a temporary storage shed at 785 Cranberry Lake Road, subject to compliance with all municipal building and zoning regulations. Councillor Pearson, Councillor Blanchette, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Does anybody have anything they'd like to pull out of the reading file? Moving on. 9.1, accounts payable that for April 2020 that the report be received. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Pearson, any questions around accounts payable? All in favor of receipt? It's carried. 9.2, a building inspection report, April 2020, that the report be received. Councillor McLean, Councillor G, any questions, comments on the building inspection report? Councillor Blanchette.
It's nice to see that even with the current issue that's going on, that we're seeing some business going on. So that's really wonderful.
Indeed. Thank you very much. Further comments? Hearing none, all in favor of receipt? It's carried. 9.3, Community Services Building at 99 Gore Street. A couple of recommendations here from staff to be a lease change out. Separate resolutions that staff, number one, that staff, as per the community charter, be directed to advertise a notice of disposition in respect to the office space being vacated by the Valemount College Society. Councillor Pearson, Councillor Blanchette. Any discussions on the notice of disposition? Hearing none, all in favor? Carries. Number two, that staff be directed to enter into a one-year lease with the Valemount Learning Society commencing June 1, 2020 for the office space located at the second floor, on the second floor of the Community Services Building currently occupied by the Valemount College Society. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Pearson, discussion. All in favor? Carries. 9.4, rarity. Looking for sole sourcing to urban systems for a bulk water fill station and septage receiving station to flow point. What is council's wish? Councillor Pearson, Councillor Blanchette, discussion. Any questions for staff in and around the processes of sole sourcing and why we don't do it very often? Councillor Pearson?
Yeah, I mean, I think understanding is this is kind of a unique product that's being provided, and not a lot of sources for this equipment. So I think it's understandable for the sole sourcing in this case.
Councillor Blanchette?
Thank you to staff for explaining it so well. It's quite, they just explained it really well.
I sure did. Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor? Carries. And number two, the council approves the sole sourcing of project management, including all installation requirements of a water fill station and septage receiving station to urban systems. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor G, discussion. All in favor? Carries. 9.5, we have some appointments from SIMP to consider for the Housing Committee, and the recommendation here that we approve Jules Phillip, Councillor of SIMP, as the First Nation representative of the Housing Committee, and that Sharon McKay, Housing Manager of SIMP, be named as alternate. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor McLean, discussion. Councillor Blanchette.
Just like to thank both of them for coming aboard on the Housing Committee. We look forward to working with them.
Awesome. Further discussion, Councillor Pearson.
Yeah, I just had a quick question, probably directed to staff, regarding SIMP representative attendance to Housing Committee meetings. Would they be expected to be teleconference, remote attendance, or would any expenses be incurred for travel from the SIMP side to a housing meeting?
Through your worship, there would be no expenses incurred for travel. It's strictly a volunteer committee, so there's no expectations for anyone to receive any finances in that regard. As for remote attendance, we can certainly set up remote attendance if that was something that they would prefer. If it was something that they would suggest or if they asked for it at the time, we could accommodate that.
Procedural question. The committees of council run under the same procedural bylaw as council.
Yes, they do.
We are limited to how many council meetings we end in a normal period. This is not normal, but moving forward, how does staff recommend electronic participation by remote committee members?
That's a really good question. And it's something that I've been thinking an awful lot about since we first brought the new procedure bylaw forward to council, because we had talked about only having one participant allowed at one time to be able to do remote attendance. My thought is we should probably look at that again and change that, given what we've all experienced. And we've proven now that the technology is there, that we can do remote attendance. So my thought is that we should probably bring something back forward to you, council, to look at that allows more people to attend remotely. As for duration of time, we can look at amending that as well if that's something that council would like.
Something to keep in mind. All in favor? It carries. 9.6, another request from the Housing Committee, amendment to the terms of reference for a rotating chair. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Pearson, discussion. All in favor? Carries. 9.7, got a note from the Funky Goat regarding street vendor permit fees. Recommendation here that the report be received for information. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Pearson. Any discussion on the request? Councillor Pearson. Just have to unmute yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, so I had forwarded a question to staff too regarding this on the wording of the 21-day permit. It's kind of ambiguous, but it was clarified that that's 21 operational days. So really for a 2-day-a-week operation for a Friday, Saturday, that's 10 and a half weeks. That would, from the end of May would take you into August theoretically. So that was just my question on the wording of the bylaw.
And you're satisfied with the clarity, Councillor?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor? Carries. 9.8, 2019 audited financial statements, that they be approved. Councillor McLean, Councillor Blanchette, discussion on the 2019 audited financial statements? All in favor? It carries. 10.1, Village of Valemount 5-year financial bylaw number 820-2020, looking for final adoption. Councillor Pearson, Councillor G, any discussion on final adoption? All in favor? It carries. 10.2, looking to exercise some emergency ministerial orders here, that the Village of Valemount tax rate bylaw number 821-2020 be given first, second, third, and final reading. Councillor G, Councillor Blanchette, any discussion in around the 4 readings in a single sitting and or the tax rate bylaw? Councillor Blanchette.
Just a question, under 5.1, under penalties, do we need to change the due date from July 2nd to October? Because we are extending that date, correct?
Mrs. McNee?
Our due date will remain July 2nd, but
Okay.
the penalty date will be September 30th.
Okay.
And the reasoning behind that is that we're hoping the mortgage companies will still pay on time, even though others may have until September 30th.
Okay,
And that's
thank you.
keeping with the business rate as well.
Okay.
Further discussion? All in favor? First, second, third, and fourth reading is carried. Council reports. Councillor Pearson, what have you been up to? Mutely.
There we go. Since we last gathered, May 5th, I had a Tourism Valemount committee meeting. Much discussion about the resilience, the rebound program for the hospitality industry. May 6th, Operation Lifesaver teleconference call, discussing on how Operation Lifesaver is going to try and proceed forward, getting the word out in these rather different times. And this morning had another Zoom meeting at Tourism Valemount, the Cranberry Marsh Trail Subcommittee meeting. We had members get together and discuss future plans for the Cranberry Marsh Trail and what it looks like. So, and that's my 2 weeks.
Thanks. Councillor Blanchette.
I've been busy with my own stuff, nothing council related, but I just wanted to let everybody know that starting on next Tuesday, that the library will be doing curbside delivery on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And you can email the library at library@valemount.ca. You can phone us at 250-566-4367, or you can log into your account and put your items on hold, and we will contact everybody with a schedule of pickup. You can call the library too at 4367 if you have any questions. So I just wanted to let everybody know that we are opening up, but just for curbside.
Awesome. That's terrific. Thank you. Councillor G.
Well, besides trying to stay on top of all the COVID-19 update emails from many different sources and listening to the daily briefings, I attended Emergency Management BC and Ministry of Forests joint Freshet and BC wildfire briefings on May 4th, and that was informative and also relieving. And that's it.
Thank you very much, Councillor, for taking that on last minute. I wasn't sure if I was going to get my morning chores done in time. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councillor McLean?
I have had no official council business since the last meeting. Thank you.
Must have been an email or two.
There was a few of those, all right.
Thank you very much. Daily briefings with Dr. Henry. Always an eye-opener. April 29th, met with the managers of the IGA and the IDA to present Valemount Strong t-shirts for their staff, keeping us well-stocked. Same day, had a meeting between the Regional District, Fraser Fort George, and Valemount Glacier destinations. April 30th, took part in a local government case law webinar with Dominion Government Law. There was some case law passed over the last couple of years, and it was just a real treat to have it presented in a non-legal language with a lot of good humor from their lead there at Dominion Gov Law. Later that afternoon, had a meeting between a joint meeting between Simp First Nation and Valemount Glacier Destination, seeing how we can move that project along. May 1st, a briefing with MLA Bond and Highway 16 and 97 reps. May 4th, I did catch a little bit of that joint technical briefing. Again, thank you, Councillor, for taking that on short notice. May 5th, at a joint Canbasket Debris Management Committee meeting. Golden representatives as well as representatives from Valemount. Later that day, a briefing with Valemount Emergency Services. May 6th, a real good debrief between local governments in northern British Columbia and the Chamber of Commerce representatives throughout the Northeast and the Northwest, along with Chair Blanchette from our chamber. May 7th, had a briefing with Minister Robinson, Municipal Affairs and Health, or Housing, sorry. May 8th, briefing with MLA Bond again with Highway 16 and 97 reps, and on that same day, via Zoom, helped celebrate the 60th birthday of Mr. PG, the tall, slender piece of wood at the Highway 16 and 97 junction. May 9th, had a Columbia Basin Trust Investment Committee meeting, and again, a short briefing, but always welcomed with our Valemount Emergency Services. And that's my report. Motion please to receive. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor McLean. Any discussion in around the reports for anyone? Hearing none, all in favor? Carries. Not going in camera. So I'll just ask for a motion to adjourn. Councillor Pearson. Thank you very much, all.